Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP community believes Ripple CTO is saying, do not sell your XRP. Details. That's the headline from the Crypto Basic. And they're talking about, of course, none other than David Schwarz. Not just Ripple CTO, but co-creator of XRP and the XRP ledger. But is he actually telling the XRP community not to sell their XRP? I would argue no. I would say that what this is actually about, and it's interesting nonetheless, and it's fine. Some people will disagree with me. He's telling you not to sell your XRP. Fine. I think that's silly. But it's really more so a story on the concept of selling something too soon. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And look, I'll say here at the outset, on the topic of selling too soon, look, nobody can know where a market will top. Like, and even if you're just talking about a specific market cycle, like, depending on what asset you're talking about, it may not even be crypto, just I'm talking conceptually here, you don't know for sure if after it's peaking, and you can tell it's running up quick because there's a parabolic formation on the chart. I mean, you don't necessarily know that it's ever going to come back ever again. Does it just go to zero forever? I mean, hell, there are some cryptocurrencies that, even though they move in tandem with the market, you know, they hit an all-time high back in 2017, and last cycle they didn't actually, even though directionally they did the same thing. And so look, the idea of selling too soon is mostly stupid and unreasonable. Now, all sorts of people are going to have regret. Selling and then seeing what happens with price action later. I get that. I understand that. But it's mostly unreasonable. So let's delve into this. This piece reads as follows. Members of the XRP community have identified a discreet message advising against selling XRP too early amid a recent disclosure from Ripple CTO David Schwarz. In a recent tweet, Schwarz recounted the story of a regrettable investment decision he made several years ago with his Ethereum portfolio. And let's just go ahead directly into this. This is what he actually shared on social media platform X. It reads as follows. As many of you know, I sold 40,000 ETH at about $1 to put solar panels on a house I no longer own. That ETH was worth over $100 million shortly after. So, folks, this had to have been way back in the beginning. I just went to Live Coin Watch and pulled up the all-time price chart. So this means it must have happened in the beginning part, the first half roughly, or maybe not even first half, but in 2015. Because I was scrolling through, if you look at the screen, you can see what I'm doing. We're kind of scrolling through prices throughout 2015 into 2016. And as you can see, in 2016, it was already starting to run a bit, and I don't think it ever went back down to that dollar range, which means that it must have been 2015. Here you can see, like, on September 17th, 2015, it was 87 cents. Then you can go to October 8th, 2015, it was 59 cents. Can you imagine buying ETH at 59 cents? Although, can you imagine buying XRP at half a penny? Because that was a thing, too. But then you go fast forward a little bit here, and you can see, let me get a little bit further out here. Yeah, even just the beginning of January of the next year, January 17th, 2016, it was already up to $1.25. And then you fast forward to, you can see, like, you get into, like, June, and it's, like, 13, 14 bucks. So it must have been 2015, but of course, David Schwarz has been in here since just about the beginning in the world of crypto, right? And so you're thinking, okay, he sold 40,000 ETH for $1. He got $40,000. Now, you think in the time that actually sounds pretty good. And I've actually seen him talk about this in the past. This is a brand new conversation. He literally just was sharing this yesterday. But I have seen him talk about this in the past. And I remember him stating in the moment, not the moment, but the first time I saw him talking about this some time ago, that, it seemed like a really good deal at the time. Because it went from whatever the amount is that he would have initially put in, it goes up X amount. It's now worth $40,000. Hey, this seems like a hell of a profit. And so he took some profit. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I mean, you just got to understand, if something's appealing to you in the moment, like, you can't beat yourself up for not knowing last week's winning lottery numbers. Like, that's not how it works. That's not reasonable. Now, people are going to do this. People are going to sell XRP, and then they're going to look back in the future and be like, oh, man, I used to have so-and-so amount of XRP. I used to have maybe even, you could say, tens of thousands of XRP, and now it ran to $50 or whatever it ends up being. And be like, my God, if I had just held on a little bit longer, my God, I would have had so many more millions. And I understand the tendency for people to want to do that, but it's a fool's errand, and it's meaningless. Which is why when I sell, I have the expectation that, in all likelihood, at some unknown point in the future, it's going to be worth way more. If I'm right about XRP in terms of long-term viability, yeah. So my hope is that even if it keeps running in that market cycle, good for the rest of the people that held out, even if they make way more money than me. Good. That's how I look at it. And I do mean that. I'm not going to beat myself up, though. I definitely am not. And I'll just wait for, because look, things don't go up in a straight line. Like, there are corrections. Things won't go up in a straight line forever. That's a certainty. If it doesn't, it would be the first time in history chart-wise. Like, nothing goes up in a straight line forever. There's 0 examples of that. It doesn't happen. So, it's just a question of, like, to what degree does it go down. But if you're talking about a parabolic advance, where in short order XRP's running up to 5, 10, 15 bucks, whatever it may be, well, I'll be selling on the way up, and then I'll just be waiting for it to crater back down. I'll take profit, and then I'll just start buying back in at whatever roughly the new bottom is. That's my plan anyway. But the good news is, even if you're one of the people screaming, well, it's never going to go back down. Well, I disagree with you. I think that's silly because that's never happened in history before. But even if you are actually right, and I'm not talking after a parabolic advance, but even if you are right, I will be selling because I'm happy with the life-changing wealth I have accrued by selling XRP. And plus, that money, it's not like that's all I get out of it. I'll put that money to work. I'm not just going to blow it all in hats. I'm going to spend it on, or not spend it on something. I'm going to invest it, and then it'll make even more money. And I'm going to be in preservation mode, so it's going to be much more conservative than investing in crypto. But so what? It's reasonable to have, a preservation tactics in place after you achieve life-changing wealth in crypto. Of course, that's reasonable. You don't just keep risking it. Come on, like, obviously. But he had more to say on this. So David Schwarz said, my father, ironically, did almost the same thing. After my older siblings moved out, my parents didn't need the enormous house we were living in, but it needed quite a bit of fixing up to sell. So my father sunk a lot of money into gutting and redoing the house. But during the months it took to do that, as renovation costs escalated, the real estate market crashed. He took a huge loss on the deal. But guess how he funded the renovation and purchase of a new house while the old one was renovated? He sold his Apple stock. The stock went up about 5x over that same time period. Like father, like son, I guess. And then he shared a picture of his father, which is on your screen right there. But look, people do this all the time, and it's not like you're stupid or bad or made some sort of horrible mistake. It's that you don't know the future. So, and I don't think he is beating himself up over. I hope he's not, because it wouldn't be reasonable for David Schwarz to beat himself up over this. And especially in the early days, and kind of like to bring that point home. Take a look at this. Somebody responded to David Schwarz and wrote 100 mil, and it's true. I mean, if he had held on, then shortly thereafter he would have had, by his own account, $100 million worth of ETH. $100 million. And so this guy responded and said, 100 mil, can you still sleep at night? And David Schwarz responded with what I think is a pretty damn reasonable response. And he said, everyone who has been in the crypto space since 2015 or earlier has stories like this. We all could have bought Bitcoin at $350 and sold at $60,000 for a nice 170x in 6 years. Yeah, and so the point's not lost. I mean, this is a once-in-a-species type of thing, and I've said that before, and it really is the case. You're not going to have something like this. I can't imagine. Like, the advent of this magical internet money, like, you're not just going to have that again. That is a once-in-a-species thing. And so is there ever going to be something where, separate from that, there's this level of frenzy and this much money flowing in? I mean, in theory, that could. I'm kind of skeptical of that, but it's certainly not cryptocurrency. Like, this is a once-in-a-species event. And we're living through this right here. And so jumping in those earliest of years right now, yeah, everybody was in the same situation, and it was much greater uncertainty back then. That's just a matter-of-fact statement. Like, it's easier for us here in 2023 as we see the likes of BlackRock jumping into crypto. It's easier for us to say, yeah, of course it's here forever. But in the first, 3, 4, 5 years especially, it wasn't as certain. And there were people that had the conviction that it would be, and they were right, fine. But there was a lot less certainty back then. A lot less. And so, of course, people were taking profit, and you don't know how high it's going to go. This had never happened before. There's no precedent for any of this. And so, yes, you can look back and say, in hindsight, yeah, okay. Thank you, Monday morning quarterback. That helps us 0%. It's like Captain Hindsight from South Park. You guys know that episode I'm talking about? Yeah, thanks, Captain Hindsight. It does nothing for us. And so that's why you just need to, the way I look at it is like you set goals that are going to be incredibly attractive for yourself, and then you just execute and you hold yourself accountable. You hold yourself to the plan that you set in place. If you sell and it's appealing to you at the time, great. Don't look back. You just made a bunch of profit. And there's other opportunity. There's always going to be more opportunity anyway. And hell, David Schwarz, I mean, he had, I don't know if how much he may or may not have sold, but he publicly stated that in the past, this is many years ago, he publicly stated that he had 16 million XRP. That's not a secret. But, and by the way, that wasn't given to him. He had to actually buy that himself. And I don't know what he paid for it, but even if it were back in the day and it was like half a penny, that's still like $80,000. But I don't know what he would have paid. I don't know if there would have been a special deal or if it came directly. I don't know who he bought it from. I don't know if it was actually from Ripple. I just know that he stated that he had it. Or if he got it from the open market. I don't know. So I don't know what he would have paid for that. But 16 million. So, probably, like, I don't know. Again, I don't know if, what his holdings would be today. And I'm not even going to speculate on that. But it's just, can you imagine that level of crypto? Whew. But there are all sorts of stories like that. Like, think about the earliest of Bitcoiners. Like, there are all sorts of people that had thousands of Bitcoin in the early days. It just wasn't worth anything at the time. Now, of course, that would be, you'd have more money than God now at this point if you just held on to it. But who's going to... That was over a decade ago. I mean, Bitcoin's almost 15 years old at this point here. So it would have been kind of unreasonable to expect for that to be the case here. But, so is this some sort of secret message, though? As some indicate. And I did see some comments along these lines, although I think they were joking. I hope they were joking. Is this David Schwartz's way to tell you not to sell XRP? No. Come on, man. Hopefully that's almost 0% of you that think that. It's just a question of, like, when's a reasonable time to hold, and that's why, like, what I was saying towards the beginning part of the video, the idea of selling too soon is mostly stupid and unreasonable, because it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want it to be, you just do. And it's unreasonable to kick yourself later down the road if it becomes worth way more in the future. That's pretty much it. That's the way that I look at it. So you guys can tell me what you think, but I don't think he did anything wrong. I'm glad he got what he got. This isn't a stupid thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And yes, if he had some sort of superpower ability to see into the future, he would have held on to it. Just like if you knew what the winning lottery numbers were for next week's lottery, you'd buy the ticket today, wouldn't you? Well, where does that get us? Literally nowhere. Absolutely nowhere, so it doesn't matter. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.